Hello, my name is Francisco Assis Martos, and I am delivering a presentation on the article Prospective EFL Teachers' Views on Research and Implications for Initial Teacher Education. The European Union's priorities for improving teacher quality and education have long emphasized the need to improve teacher competencies while also promoting professional values and attitudes, citing attitudes of reflective practice and research as examples. Earlier than that, a report commissioned by the European Commission proposed training for action research as one of the skills that initial foreign language teacher education in the 21st century should include. One of the major arguments supporting this movement is that when teachers conduct research and make pedagogical judgments based on research evidence, both teaching and learning benefit. The recommendation that teachers engage in researching their own practice is also based on broader considerations about the benefits of research for teachers' professional development and for their status as professionals. Initial teacher education programs now tend to incorporate instruction in educational research skills in their curricula. The nature and characteristics of the research conducted by teachers as part of their professional competences may vary from initial conceptions of research that prospective teachers may bring with them to the teacher preparation program. It is, consequently, crucial for teacher educators to understand those conceptions of research in case they need to be challenged or revised against the ideas underlying the notion of teacher research adopted by the program. The objective of the study was to identify future teachers' conceptions of research with the aim of considering these conceptions for the design of a teacher preparation module on research and innovation in a master's course for secondary school teachers. A total of 138 students from the one-year master's program in compulsory secondary education, vocational studies, and official language schools with a specialization in English as a foreign language at the University of Malaga participated in this study. Of these, 107 identified as women, 27 as men, 1 as non-binary, and 3 preferred not to say. The participants were registered in a master module aimed at developing students' competences connected to performing action research and educational innovation. By the time they register in this master course, the vast majority of students have completed a degree in English studies or in translation and interpretation. In accordance with the European Profile for Language Teacher Education, action research, and more precisely exploratory action research, was chosen as the approach to educational research adopted by the module. An adaptation of a section of a broader questionnaire developed by Borg to investigate English language teachers' conceptions of research was used to collect the data. This section aimed to identify language teachers' views on the characteristics of good quality research. The original questionnaire consisted of 11 statements. 3 additional statements were added by the author. Each statement described a characteristic of research. Participants were asked to rate the importance to good quality research of the list of characteristics on a 5-point Likert scale from unimportant to very important. In order to analyze the data, each point of the scale was assigned a value from 1, meaning unimportant, to 5, meaning very important. For analysis purposes, the responses for values 1 and 2 were collapsed into one category, less important, and those for values 4 and 5 were also collapsed into one category, more important. Descriptive statistics were used in the analysis of the data. Table 1 lists the responses in descending order based on the percentage of teachers who indicated that a characteristic was more important, values 4 meaning important and 5 very important. As this table demonstrates, the characteristic of quality research most highly rated reflects a pragmatic association with the idea of educational research. However, the overall picture from the data indicates that the participants' perceptions of research are more closely aligned with notions and methods typical of the nature and physical sciences. This is shown, for example, by the importance attributed to experiments, the objectivity of the researcher, the testing of hypotheses, or the control of variables. Additionally, although the use of observation, one of the data gathering methods characteristic of research conducted by teachers, and to a lesser degree, the use of document analysis, rank high in terms of importance among the participants, a large percentage of them regard questionnaires and interviews either as not so important for quality research or unsure. This could imply that a large proportion of these future teachers believe that quality research requires quantitative methods and that people's opinions, typically gathered through questionnaires and interviews, do not count as valid data because they are subjective. Other noteworthy findings are the fact that the results applied to any ELT scenarios was the attribute that elicited the most unsure responses. This may be indicative of the fact that future teachers have doubts as to whether researching within the context of a class counts as valid research, or as to whether the knowledge generated by engaging in such scale research counts as reliable knowledge. Our findings are strikingly similar to those obtained by students conducted elsewhere with practicing teachers, in that teachers' understanding of research adheres closely to the classical positivist research tradition. Although a number of other circumstances mitigate against teacher involving in research of their own practice, such as employment conditions or lack of time, student teachers' convictions that conducting research requires carrying out experiments involving large samples and performing complex statistical analyses that can represent major hurdles in their involvement in teacher research in the future. Additionally, teachers whose conceptions of their own role and of research do not expand beyond traditional assumptions are unlikely to engage in meaningful teacher research. It is therefore imperative that the teacher education program challenges these assumptions and conceptions and provides prospective teachers with the necessary skills to undertake research. In light of our findings, initiatives to be implemented in the teacher preparation program along these 4 lines can, in our view, contribute to it. Number 1, emphasis on the notions of reflective practitioner and teacher researcher underlying current views of the teacher as a professional. International reports and teacher competence framework insist on the need for teachers to adopt a reflexive, inquiry-oriented approach to teaching. As Kaina and Redeker highlight, one of the requirements for teacher expertise embedded in existing teacher competence frameworks is reflective practice, that is systematic assessment of professional knowledge and action against criteria from practice, theory, and research. Number 2, discussion about the implications of the idea underlying teacher research and action research. Teacher research refers to all forms of practitioner inquiry that involve systematic, intentional, and self-critical inquiry about one's work. Additionally, action research can be described as research that might be conducted in one's own educational settings, and that involves teachers in systematically evaluating learning, designing interventions, and reflecting through the process with a view to improving their own practices and, above all, student learning. In his analysis of conditions for teacher research, Borg outlined 10 prerequisites that affect the incidence of teacher research. One of them is for teachers to become more aware of the many types of research beyond quantitative methods, hypothesis testing, objectivity, representativeness, and generalizability. As Borg rightly puts it, while there are many central concepts in educational research, they do not on their own provide a suitable basis for understanding the particular assumptions about research, its purposes, and its methods that underpin teacher research. In teacher research, the goal is often understanding rather than proof. The researchers are the teachers themselves, and the self is accepted as a legitimate focus of inquiry. Awareness raising about the implications of one's own ideas of research and professionalism, coupled by opportunities to contrast these conceptions with those underlying the teacher research and action research movements, and the currently prevalent idea of teachers as reflective practitioners and professionals. Getting the students to make their ideas of research explicit, for example by filling in a questionnaire or by completing a written assignment, followed by analysis and reflection at the beginning of the teacher education program, is a necessary step to start revising them. Student teachers can also be provided with the opportunity to contrast those conceptions and assumptions with those promoted by the program at the end of the course in order to reflect on the extent they are aligned with the ideas and values that teacher education programs aim to convey. Equipping future teachers with the necessary tools to carry out teacher research. Teachers in training must be provided with the necessary research-related knowledge and skills in order to conduct sound and rigorous research and disseminate it. They must be aware of the various methodological possibilities available and able to make informed decisions from among them. Additionally, there are well-established criteria for the design and delivery of questionnaires, for the design and conduct of interviews, and for the design and use of observation instruments that future teachers should be made familiar with. Finally, some basic training on quantitative and qualitative data analysis and on finding venues for teacher research dissemination is also essential to prepare future teachers for research on their practice. This research aimed to investigate prospective language teachers' conceptions of quality research so as to obtain relevant information for the design of a teacher education module on research and innovation. The findings indicate that participants' predominant notions of research align with the positivist research paradigm and may, consequently, act as barriers for them to adopt a researcher role in their future professional practice. In light of these findings, the paper offers 4 recommendations for addressing teachers' reticence to participate in teacher and action research in initial teacher education. A noteworthy limitation of the study needs to be acknowledged. Only one data gathering instrument was used, a questionnaire, and participants could therefore not clarify their answers or expand on them. However, the research meets the intended goal of identifying student teachers' perceptions in order to improve the instructional design addressed to student teachers in the area of teacher and action research. Thank you for your time.